Now that you've watched our last two videos, you should have a pinch pot and a few coils. Now you should have your sketch from last class, and we are going to use that as our blueprint moving forward. But before you do that, you need to check to make sure that your clay is not cranky. So you can use your thumb, just like I'm doing, to smooth out any cracks that you see in your pinch pot. You can also make sure that your coils are not cranky. So go ahead and use your thumb and smooth out all of the cracks that you see. Looking at our blueprint, we can find which piece we are going to start making first. I'm going to start with my coil, and that is the legs for my animal. So I'm going to grab my coil and decide how long I want my legs to be. I'm going to rip my coil off, and as you can see, I grab a wooden tool and I'm going to scratch the part that is going to attach to my pinch pot. So go ahead and take your wooden tool and scratch the end of the coil. You're going to find a part on the pinch pot where the coil will go, and you're going to scratch there as well. Now I'm going to dip my finger in some water, and I'm going to put that water on the area that we just scratched. This water is going to connect our two scratched areas together. This is called slipping. Now that we have water on the two areas, it is time to smooth out this seam. So as you can see, I'm using my fingers, but my fingers are a little too big, so I'm going to use my wooden tool. Now, if your fingers are small enough, I would suggest using your fingers because you have more control over your fingers, but I am using my wooden tool, and that is totally fine as well. You can see I am smoothing out until these two pieces of clay look like they are connected into one piece of clay. Once I'm all done smoothing out my clay, you can see that it looks very similar to my sketch. So my sketch has one leg, and here's one leg. Now I have to do it 3 more times to make sure that I have 4 legs on my animal. Here is a little time lapse of my 3 other legs. So this is going to be sped up, but don't worry, you do not have to work this fast. This is just to save time and let you all have more time working. As you can see here, I am cutting my tips of my coils that are going to attach to my pinch pot, and the technical term for this is scoring. So we are scoring our coils, and then we are adding slip to make them stick together. So as you can see here, I'm going to grab my wooden tool and score the tip of my coil, and now I have 3 legs. I'm going to score the parts of my pinch pot that my legs are going to attach to. So you score the coil and you also score the pinch pot. Don't forget to add slip or add water, because slipping your clay makes sure that your 2 scored areas stick together. Once you press your coils together into the clay, you can start to smooth it out. Again, you can either use your finger or you can use a wooden tool. One last tip for attaching your coils is you can see I press down a little bit and I'm pulling that coil clay down into the pinch pot. So I'm always pulling down, and then I'm going to smooth out that seam. That way my legs do not fall off in the firing process. Here you can see I press down and then I pull with my thumb down towards the pinch pot. So make sure you're pulling down towards the pinch pot and then smoothing out that seam to make it look like one animal. Now that our animal has all of its legs attached, it is ready to stand up. so you can see it stands up on its 4 legs. One thing in my sketch that is a little bit different is that my legs are the same size in my sketch. You can see my legs are a little bit longer than each other, so I'm going to pinch a little bit of clay off, and then I can smooth out that tip to make sure that his legs or his feet are not too pointy. So you're going to make sure that your legs are all the same size. That way your animal pinch pot does not tip over while it's trying to stand up. Now I'm making sure my tips of my coils are not too pointy. That way they will stand up straight and not scratch the table after they are fired. So I'm just smoothing it out and I'm all good. Now it won't scratch the table. We are ready to move on to the head, and as you can see, I need a ball of clay. Y'all know how to do this. Roll that clay back and forth in your hands to make a ball and find where you're going to attach it. We're going to be scoring our ball of clay, and we're also going to score the place that we are attaching it on the rim. Now, you can attach your ball of clay to many places. You could attach it on the rim like me. You could also put it on the front. But for me, because my sketch says it's going to go on the top, that's where I am scoring. And I'm going to add some slip to my ball of clay. Then I'm going to add a little bit more just for good measure. And I'm going to press that ball down into the rim. Now, be very careful whenever you are smoothing out this seam. It's going to be a lot harder, so I'm going to use my tool, and I would suggest you do the same. Once I have it smoothed out and I'm ready to move on, my next part in my blueprint is carving. So I'm going to take this wooden tool and I'm going to add my eyes, I'm going to add my nose, and I'm going to add my mouth. Now it's time to add my ears, and as you can see it says carving, but this is actually going to be a small coil. So I'm going to rip this in half and I'm going to make almost like a triangle or really a pyramid out of clay. Then I'm going to score and slip the flat part of this pyramid, as you can see, scoring that. And then I'm going to score where I'm going to add it onto my ball. Remember, you're going to put a little bit of water and you're going to press this in and then smooth it out. That is one of my ears. I'm going to do this one more time, as you can see. This is sped up to save some time, but as you can see, I am scoring the ear, I'm scoring the ball of clay, and don't forget to add water. Oops, I forgot to add a little bit of water, so don't forget water, and make sure that this is attached very well. You can use your finger or your tool. This part is going to be colored in by glaze, so we don't have to worry about that at this stage. It's going to be fired, but everything else is looking just like this sketch. So good job, guys. Your sketch might not look like this. It might actually look like the one below. And if that's the case, yours looks like this, you're still going to do the same techniques and end up with a different final product. The balls are right there, the carving is right there, and you have coils for your ears. So I used my fingers and pressed down those coils to make them look a little bit flat. And now, whichever sketch you have, you can make into a 3D animal pinch pot.